The Big Five. It's probably the most famous wildlife term in the world. Almost every first time safari traveler has heard it. And for many people visiting Kenya, or for that matter, any country in Africa, spotting the Big Five becomes the ultimate goal. But what exactly is the Big Five? Why are the animals grouped together? And what is the reality? Are they really the most impressive animals you see in the Mara? Or are they just a marketing term? Today, we are going to go beyond the safari brochure. We'll explore the myths, the realities, and some of my favorite sightings of each member of the Big Five. Hi, I'm Anosh from the Game Drive, a luxury safari travel outfit. I've spent years exploring some of the world's most incredible wildlife destinations, and on this channel, I share safari experiences, wildlife travel stories, and practical insights from the field. What is the Big Five? One of the biggest misconceptions is that the Big Five refers to the largest animals in Africa. As a matter of fact, it doesn't. It also doesn't refer to the most endangered animals. The term dates from an era where hunting was common. Professional hunters used to describe it as the five most difficult animals and possibly the dangerous animals that you could find on the African bush on foot. These animals were then symbolic of the dangers that they could showcase when you're looking to hunt them. These animals are the lion, the leopard, elephant, buffalo, and the rhino. Today, thankfully, cameras have replaced rifles for most visitors. But the term has remained. And while it may have started with hunting, it now represents five of Africa's most iconic wildlife species, which is there on everybody's checklist who wants to do an African safari. The lion, the icon of Africa. In fact, the color of the African savanna, an animal that symbolizes Africa in its true sense. For many guests, a safari doesn't truly begin until they've seen one, or for that matter, their first lion. The Maasai Mara supports some of the most famous lion populations in Africa. What surprises many visitors is how relaxed lions often appear. While people expect constant action, the reality is that lions spend much of their day resting, sleeping, conserving energy, and waiting for the cooler temperatures to get active. And then, almost without warning, everything changes. One of my favorite lion sightings happened late one evening. We had spent most of the afternoon watching a pride do absolutely nothing. The guests were beginning to lose interest, and then the lion started getting up. A male lion got up, and then another, and suddenly the entire pride became alert. Within minutes, they disappeared into the tall grass. We trailed both the males into the night, and the atmosphere inside the vehicle changed completely. Nobody spoke. Everyone knew something possibly could happen. And that's what makes lions fascinating. It's not just the hunt, it's the anticipation of one. Elephant, the gentle giants, often underestimated because they're relatively easy to find, but the more the time you spend with them, the more remarkable they become. They are intelligent, highly social, and deeply emotional animals. One of the most memorable elephant encounters I've experienced wasn't dramatic at all. No charging, no excitement, just a family crossing the plains. Young calves staying close to their mothers, older females guiding the herd, everyone moving together. You could spend an hour watching elephants and still discover something new. They're not simply large animals, they are complex individuals with relationships, memories, and the personalities. The Cape Buffalo, the most underrated of the big five. Let's be honest, most safari guests don't get excited when somebody says there's a buffalo. And that's a mistake. They're incredibly tough, highly unpredictable, and surprisingly dangerous. Unlike many animals that choose fight over confrontation, buffaloes often stand their ground. Large herds can contain hundreds or even thousands of individuals. And when you watch a herd moving across the Mara, you begin to appreciate their sheer power. In fact, they really stand tall when it comes to protecting themselves from lions. A true match against the lion. One sighting I remember vividly involved a buffalo bull standing along beside a waterhole, scarred, massive, and battle worn. He looked like he had survived countless encounters. There was something incredibly impressive about him. A reminder that survival in Africa is never easy. The leopard, the elusive member of the Big Five. If lions are easy to admire, leopards are easy to become obsessed with. Leopards are often the most difficult member of the Big Five to find. They're solitary, they're secretive, and masters of camouflage. The funny thing about leopard sighting is that they often happen when you least expect them. You spend hours searching river systems and dense vegetations. Nothing. Then suddenly, a guide points to a branch, and somehow there's a leopard right in front of you. My favorite leopard sighting in the Mara happened during what seemed like a very quiet morning. We had plenty of herbivores, but nothing spectacular. Then a guide noticed vultures circling nearby. He followed the signs and eventually found a beautiful leopard feeding on an impala on a branch of a tree. The leopard wasn't just feeding, it was watching us, completely calm, completely confident, and absolutely secure. Moments like that remind you why leopard sightings are so addictive. You could spend hours observing this animal perched on a tree, enjoying its skill. The rhino, the rarest treasure. Then we come to the final member of the Big Five. For many visitors, this becomes the most special sighting of all. Not because rhinos are the largest, not because they're the most dramatic, but because they're increasingly rare. Every rhino sighting feels important. You know you're looking at an animal that conservationists have worked incredibly hard to protect. One of my favorite rhino sightings happened just after sunrise. The light was perfect, the landscape was silent, and they were standing alone against the horizon was a beautiful white rhino. No vehicles, no crowds, just a brief moment with one of Africa's most iconic animals. Sometimes the quiet sightings become the most memorable. Let's talk about the myth versus reality of the Big Five. So here's the reality. The Big Five are incredible, but they aren't necessarily the best part of a safari. Many guests arrive focused entirely on a checking list. Lions, tick. Leopard, tick. Elephant, tick. But somewhere during the journey, something changes. They start noticing the smaller details: birds, behavior, sunsets, landscapes, moments, and they realize that safari is much more than these five animals. While the Big Five might bring people to Africa, but it's the complete ecosystem that makes them fall in love with it. And after spending years in the bush, I've learned that every member of the Big Five offers something unique. The lion brings drama, the leopard brings mystery, the elephant brings wisdom, and the buffalo brings resilience. And the rhino reminds us why conservation matters. Together, they tell you the complete story of Africa. I'd love to know which member of the Big Five would you be dreaming to sight in the Masai Mara? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy wildlife safari stories and conservation content, don't forget to subscribe because there's plenty more from the African wilderness coming your way. Till next time, thank you.